So, Shadowlands is announced. We have a lot of fucking questions. Everything that's happening, starting off from what the hell are the Shadowlands? How did they appear? What's happening on over there? And how did Sylvanas become so goddamn powerful, man? I mean, she killed off Saurfang. She misled and manipulated everybody during Battle for Azeroth.
Yep,
I think even further than that.
Even since, I think, starting with Legion, maybe?
Yeah, it's we'll get into that even further than that. Basically now she has become like the most powerful being in all of Azeroth.
Very high up there, yeah.
And you know, a lot of people were sad about it. So let's just kick it off, right? We saw the cinematic.
Yep.
What happened in the cinematic?
Basically, Sylvanas opens the gateway to the Shadowlands, and I think to understand her motives and her strength is to actually understand what is Shadowlands. So basically, Shadowlands is like an infinite version of worlds, dimensions that people, souls that die go there. We're gonna have access to 5 zones, right? 5?
Yeah.
Only 5 of those infinite numbers, and one of the most important ones is the Maw. The Maw is basically where irredeemable souls that can never see redemption, go there. For instance, Kel'Thas is not there, even though he fucked some bitches up, man.
I know, and the thing is, just to add to what you were saying, like for some time now, the Maw of Souls keeps on pouring all the souls there, where they should be. All of the souls need to go to the Arbiter first within the Shadowlands.
To be judged.
And, the Arbiter judge. But the main plot is Sylvanas has been helping with all of these souls only being directed to the Maw.
Instead of being judged.
Yes, and the Maw from Shadowlands is being governed by...
the Jailer.
Who the fuck is the Jailer?
Well, the Jailer so far is an unknown figure. I mean, questions have been asked in the WoW panels, and they didn't actually say something, but they did point into the fact that Chronicles might not explain who the Jailer is, because the Chronicles were made from the point of view of the Titans, and Titans have never been into Shadowlands. Shadowlands predate the Titans, at least that's what we know so far.
Yeah, well, the description of Shadowlands within the Chronicles is, I don't feel it's complete, although
definitely not complete.
Yeah, the dude said in the Q&A that we don't know, we never met the Jailer. Like,
we haven't met as a character in the lore.
Yeah, but he is part of the Warcraft cosmology, so to say. So that would be interesting to find out who he is. Now, my question is, like, during the features trailer, I saw that he's kind of linked with chains, or was that just a, I don't know, graphical something that doesn't necessarily see.
It could be to reflect the fact that he is a jailer holding souls prison, because you cannot exit the Maw once you enter it, but we will be the first, excepting Sylvanas, will be the first being souls, well, we're gonna be alive once we get there, that can exit the Maw. And the thing is, Sylvanas has a pact with the Jailer where she feeds him souls and he feeds her power. Yeah, that's the thing. That's one of the answers, right? That's why one of the answers, like how Sylvanas became gradually more powerful and powerful, because we have to remember Sylvanas basically made contact with this Jailer from the Shadowlands first back in ICC. Like when she went to the Ice Crown Citadel and she had, met the Valkyrie over there, and they were trying to mess with her head and they were trying to read her thoughts and memories and try to judge her. She just threw herself out of the balcony of the ICC, and when she fell down there, she became, caught up in this limbo, which we could... Now, back in that story, they say limbo. I think now we can say the Maw. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Shadowlands directly.
Yeah, it wasn't Shadowlands directly, but that's how they referenced in the Edge of Night story, which I do recommend you guys read out. It's basically from 2011. They brought up that in Cataclysm to explain...
Some time ago.
Yeah, to explain the story of the Gilneas Sylvanas attack in there and stuff like that. Yeah. But what's important here is that they did confirm that her power, her first contact with the Jailer started then.
Well, basically that feeds into a lot of the things that we have now. For instance, why she is so strong and she has to be strong enough to beat Bolvar. That explains why she won that fight. And even though I don't like it, we kind of have to accept it, otherwise her character wouldn't make sense, or any more sense than it already does. And very important, because the contact with the Jailer was so far back, the Jailer, I mean, is speculated, but I think it's pretty clear cut that the Jailer whispered Vol'jin to put Sylvanas as war chief.
I think it's confirmed,
Yeah, because Sylvanas planned to be war chief. What she planned all along is to wage a huge war between the Horde and the Alliance to kill as many people, doesn't matter if it was Horde or not, so that they can all go into the Maw and make both her and the Jailer stronger for whatever reason. Well, we don't know. I assume we're gonna find out.
I'll add to this. Now, in the cinematic, she says that as this whole world is a prison, and she will be the one to set us free. Now, that's like really peculiar because I think it states a bit one of her reasons or her more motives. I think maybe she wants to release herself from the anguish pain of not being able to get her revenge on Arthas and her torment during the years. Because again, if you read The Edge of Night, you can see that she's such a tormented soul with all her memories and all the achievements and not so much achievements she had. So maybe that's one of the motives. We don't know for sure, but
well, it's clear that she still has some emotions because they do try to portray her as cold as possible. But if you really read into all the dialogues that she has, especially with Nathanos, it's clear that she still has feelings for Nathanos. And I mean, she would, baby, and she doesn't have to deceive Nathanos for anything because he knows her, he knows all of this, so she doesn't have to lie to him, pretend that she cares about him just to get his sympathy and his loyalty. So he knows that, so she still harbors feeling. That means there's still a part of her that's not cold dead. Maybe that's the part that holds the regrets that you're talking about, or maybe that's the part that might influence her future plans and decisions, where all of this will make sense at one point. I'm seriously
well, the major critique here is that they're basing this expansion based on stories that were not in the game. You have to remember, Edge of the Night was a short story that was not portrayed at all in the game.
Yeah.
And I think this was a major flaw for Battle for Azeroth as well. There were a lot of linked-ins in the Christie Golden book
before the storm,
right? There was also the
two short stories.
The short stories comics. They didn't do this within the game, so that's a major critique because people, we're nerds, we look into the lore, we try to make connections, but not all people do that, and I can, it's definitely 100% correct to criticize them and to say, hey man, this doesn't all make sense. Now, she is super powerful because if you make a really short timeline here, you would think that the pack with this jailer started off years ago, and that has been slowly being built up until Legion, where first we have Vol'jin who dies and
we have a lot. So that's the thing. Even if this pack started only just before Legion, 2 expansions worth of mass wars and genocide, there are enough souls there to make her very, very strong.
One more thing, in the Shadowlands, there's not only souls from Azeroth, it's from all over the universes.
No, it's not just the deathy version of Azeroth.
Yeah, so there's a lot of demons that died during Legion as well, and they go to the Maw as well. So there's much more than only the souls that we know that were killed during the expansion that we contributed to, right? So that was one thing, the Vol'jin thing, and then you also have the Helia thing, which they did sort of sniff that maybe we'll see something more in regards to the Helia pack, because Helia is also quite related to the death thing. Yeah. So we should check out in the future expansion, obviously, what happens there. So just to make a conclusion, this death magic is like the most powerful, as they would let us know, because even the fucking old gods are afraid of it. Remember the 3 sisters? Remember the whispers?
Yes, with the whispers. I think that they did hint a lot about the WoW cosmology, so it's very clear that this is kind of how the future stories will go, like where they will go to the cosmology. And they point out that death, just like one part of that whole thing, death, void, light, all of those life as well, they're bigger forces than maybe, let's say, the individuals that represent them.
Yeah, that's for sure true. And it is I think almost guaranteed they'll explore this this reign of Warcraft moving forward, like all of the cosmology of the forces that are lingering or outside of what we normally are used to. And this also opens up a whole new can of worms. Like, for instance, okay, we're gonna go into the Shadowlands, we're gonna develop that story and finish it. What the fuck is next for us as Rothians? Because at this point we're becoming some super freaky dicky gods, man. Come on.
There's at least one major loose end that hasn't been tied up yet, and that is the Sword of Sargeras, man. Yeah, it's still impaled there, and Azeroth, I mean, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of explanation in between BFA going into Shadowlands, but what happens to Azeroth? What happens to our heart? They did say, because there are a lot of questions asked about how will our essences behave, but they just said that since we're in Shadowlands, the connection with our heart is weakening, meaning that the story isn't over with Azeroth, with the world soul itself.
Okay, let me take you back a little bit in the past as well. Now, if you remember the defeat of the Lich King, and basically the moment when Bolvar becomes the Lich King, he takes the Helm of Damnation and puts it on. He says that it's his duty now to become and I quote this, the jailer of the damned. So up until now, we thought the Lich King is the jailer of the damned because he basically controls everything that is dead and whatever, keeps it in check. Now, in I think in BFA during the Vol'jin questline, we find out Ice Crown, the throne itself, is the gateway to Shadowlands.
Yeah.
And okay, that kind of boils into the next retcon, which I don't really agree with. Frostmourne and the Helm of Damnation were apparently not made by the Nethrezim. They were made within the Shadowlands by a mysterious blacksmith, after all. So this is a huge retcon, but I think they had to do it to move the story forward, because we as players will meet this blacksmith within the Shadowlands, and he will help us craft our legendaries.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an explanation. I think like my biggest concern was, hey man, how the fuck would you take Sylvanas and keep her like such a central character for all of these expansions? At least, you know, Legion and Battle for Azeroth and now Shadowlands. I mean, she is a central character, but I think we never had this in World of Warcraft history, to have one character moved forward for so long and having to be morally gray and all of that jazz.
Yeah. It kind of plays into the but you don't know everything yet vibe,
which I don't like anymore.
We're
through with that shit.
Get tired about that. So I'm hoping that Shadowlands is gonna answer a lot of questions that have been arising since probably early Legion.
Yeah.
So we know for sure that I mean, we can speculate, but we're pretty much sure that the jailer is Bwonsamdi's boss. We also have a dungeon with Bwonsamdi, or at least centered around Bwonsamdi. They didn't say that Bwonsamdi is gonna be the boss here, there, or whatever.
I think he's too
he's
cool,
one of the coolest personalities that they did.
I don't want him as a boss. Come on, man.
The fact that the Helm of Domination and Frostmourne were made in Shadowlands kind of makes more sense, that they were made by demons to enslave death, but demons already have a tangent with death.
I get it. It makes sense.
I can swallow that a little bit, but I don't like the retcons. That's what I'm trying to say.
As I said, it does make sense moving this line of story forward, right, guys? It does make sense if you look at the story now. It sucks that they didn't portray this story within the game completely, so you have to go to external sources to make sense of all of this.
Yeah.
This is basically why Sylvanas is the big badass that she is right now. It doesn't excuse the fact that we had her for too goddamn long within the expansions. I'm tired of Sylvanas. It doesn't excuse the fact that retconning is a major thing they're doing here just to bend a story. But it does make sense for all of these to happen in place, and we also have the confirmation from a lot of like Mr. Jem's interview and the Q&A from WoW. We have the confirmation that in Shadowlands we will see and get answers for a lot of the stuff that, you know, left us. Man, what is this? What purpose did this serve? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm hoping, man. There's a lot of loose ends that need to be tied and a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Plus, in concept, there's also one thing. In concept, Shadowlands has the big opportunity to introduce us to characters that died. Right, like we already know about Uther.
That's a different.
Uther, Draka, Kel'Thas, and who knows how many could become.
Well, I'm hoping they will add more. I'm hoping to see Varian there for sure.
This thing I was one thing I'm expecting. I hope to see Varian. I hope Anduin gets a meetup with his pups to see what he's doing.
That would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, because peculiarly enough, there's no Anduin in this old story. Nothing mentioned. Nothing. So what the fuck will he be doing?
I don't think we have the full story just yet. As with the rest of the expansion, it seems it's pretty early in the inception. They're still, as clearly obvious, they're still pretty fluid with how their story is going to pan out. So who knows what characters we're gonna have? Because obviously we want as many as possible, but seeing as we didn't have Tyrande in 8.2 because there wasn't room enough for her in the story, I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna cut out a couple of characters there. That would be so cool to see them in the Shadowlands and interact with, you know, souls of past family members.
Yeah, I'm just saying, where does Tyrande, what is this whole Night Warrior thing, and where does that power come from?
Well, they did say that we're gonna have more Tyrande vengeance in the Shadowlands.
Well, for sure, that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for it to be explained. But hey, you know what? I'm really curious on what you think. So, do you believe this all makes sense now, that within the whole storyline with the pluses and minuses and whatever, are you agreeing with the retcon? I mean, just throw it out in the comments, because, you know, I'm curious, he's curious on what you think about all this. And with that being said, once again, big shout out to all of our Patreons and all of our Twitch subs. You guys are the best. If you want to become one, just go into the description of the video, find all of the details there. Yeah, thank you.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.